Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Six Figure Souls Doing Good and Making Money. We are doing another episode today with online business coach Naowshaba Ferdous. Did I say it right?
Naowshaba Ferdous, yes.
Naowshaba
Pretty close.
Ferdous. Thank you. Um, I am so excited to have her on today. I actually follow her on Facebook, and I always say, I don't know how things happen. All of a sudden, I'm following people, and I'm like, wow, she's really interesting. She's really cool. And I reached out and asked if she'd be on the summit because you really built a business around Facebook groups and the whole online platform. And I thought you'd be fabulous for this part of the summit, just to kind of talk about how you built your business and, your mindset around it. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Camille. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, let's dive a little bit into your backstory before you became the influencer that you are. And I think you're an influencer. Do you consider yourself an influencer on Facebook?
Um, I get a lot of messages and inspiring comments and very nice things. I don't know. It feels weird to say
It's a
that,
big
but
word. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's crazy to think that. But yeah, I guess a lot of people really enjoy being in my community on in my Facebook group and they rely on me a lot. So I guess you could say that. But and it feels really good. It's a lot of responsibility, but I think I can handle it.
Okay. So tell me, or tell our listeners a little bit about the backstory, what you did before you were where you are today, like how you built it to decide to also go into a group and now to go live in your group and then to build your business out of that group.
Yeah, so I've had a very interesting backstory. I've kind of had the just kind of the conventional doctor, lawyer, engineer path and kind of just went to school for that kind of thing and just, those conventional, you're going to make six figures. It's going to be a lot of years of school, but at least it's stable kind of a path. And so like many other 20 somethings or teenagers, really, I went to school for law. And I had kind of built my entire life around it. But while I was in college, about a quarter way in, I realized that I'm just so not meant for that world, even though I think I would be good at it. My boyfriend would tell you I'm a great arguer, so I'm sure I'd be great at that, but I just and won't back down from an argument, but I just didn't feel the passion for it. And so what I did feel the passion for was working with businesses in some capacity, helping them grow. And I'd been doing that freelance for a while. I would kind of find that company I was doing. I'm like a Jane of all trades. I put myself through college. I always had more, money than I knew what to do with because I always came home every weekend from college to work. I
Right.
either, I hate saying it now because it sounds so vain, but I used to model. But I did that. I was doing people's makeup, freelance makeup artistry. I did whatever I could to save up that money and have enough money to spend because I loved that freedom. And in working with those people and in those companies, because of that, I realized that they started to ask me, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about this color? Or how do you think we should do our website? And I was like, wow, you care about my opinion? And I realized I prefer to be behind the scenes in that sense. And so I started to work with these companies freelance and started to work in particular with e-commerce, helping them grow with content creation, email strategy, creative direction, and it just flowed from there. And after I graduated college, I felt kind of useless with the degree I had just because I didn't want to be a lawyer. But I continued to freelance, but had no idea how to turn these freelance jobs of working with businesses and helping them grow. How could that be a full time career? Like, am I supposed to be a business consultant in an office? Well, they needed 5 years of experience or an internship, which I didn't have with my poli sci degree. So one day, I have no idea why I was in an entrepreneur group for women, and I saw this lady offering a blueprint strategy session, hopped on, booked with her, paid her my last $2,000 that I had, took a huge gamble, and just never looked back. That's really how I became a coach. I'd always been
Wow.
teaching people and advising in some way. I'd been a tutor for kids. Like I said, I told you I was Jane of all trades. I taught the makeup classes. I've always loved teaching and being strategic. And so it just fit that way. She kind of gave me this idea of, hey, there's this coaching world. I'm like, what's a coach? You mean a basketball coach? She's like, no, coaching online, teaching people business and all that kind of thing, and all these cool things that you've done. Why don't you teach people how to do it? I'm like, okay. So I did it.
Wow. So what I'm hearing though is you had a great work ethic. right? And then you had a mind for entrepreneur stuff anyway.
Yes, because
So,
I
yeah,
just didn't see myself work. It's not that I didn't try the 9 to 5. I did. I mean,
right, right.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that world, and I don't think everyone should write it off like quit your horrible 9 to 5 and start an online business. It doesn't have to be that way. But I worked it, and I never felt like I belonged.
Okay.
It just didn't feel right. And so I felt when I saw that post of that lady, I was like, all right, create a business from home, and I'll teach you the blueprint. Okay, I guess I have nothing to lose.
So, what was the first business you created from that blueprint?
From that blueprint, from working with her, she so I had, like I told you, back to being Jane of all trades. I actually was a freelance journalist for the biggest beauty magazine in the US.
Okay.
I sent the editor in chief some of my blogs, and I was like, look, I write this stuff, and do you think I might be good enough to write for your magazine? She loved my stuff. She had previously worked for Elle magazine and was like, your stuff is great. I want your voice on our pages. And that sort of made me feel like I love writing. And I was on every PR list you can imagine, like receiving things like every type of product, every beauty product from ranging from $10 to $1,000. I was on the list. I'm seeing it here to my left. All the leftover products that I'm very much lucky to have. And she had the idea, my coach, to why don't you teach these bloggers how to get on these PR lists? And I thought that's really cool. So
Oh,
that was kind of our preconception idea because these girls online, these influencers are crazy about getting on these PR lists. And I never asked to be on them. I just was sent them.
right.
It was great. And I was thinking that's going to be a good idea, but I realized quickly, and I'm glad I did. People want money more than product because guess what? Products don't pay the bills. So I realized, okay, I'm really good at writing. Why don't I show them how to be good writers and how to help use their copywriting to get them money? Because I was working as a copywriter before the journalism. It was a normal stepping stone for me.
Right.
It made sense. And she's like, okay, well then how about the copy coaching? And I said, absolutely. I think that I came to her and I said, I want to teach people how to write copy that converts. And I was able to sell out my one-on-one coaching for that. In my first month, I did really great. And then pivoting into the second and to where I am today, I turned into business coaching because I realized how heavily intertwined words were with business marketing.
Right.
So that's how I got here specifically.
Wow. So, did you start with one-on-one coaching and then you opened up the community? What made you open up the big community you have now? And we could mention the name, was it Thriving Female Entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I did start with one-on-one coaching, but believe it or not, like I said, when my coach at the time was like, "You can do coaching," and I said, "What? What's coaching?" I don't know what that is. I know what business consultant strategist is, but I didn't know about coaching. I'd heard of life coaches, but it was obscure. I didn't know what that was. And so at the time, she was just kind of suggesting things: do this, and do this, and do this. And I was like, okay, I'll do it all, because she was introducing me to the world. So I just did it all. So I did create a Facebook group, kept it kind of idle, empty, but
Okay.
I kept it and I had it and I slowly grew it. Didn't really prioritize it because I didn't know how important it was and I didn't know what to do with it really. So it was really on the back burner as I focused on working with clients. And that's something that I've realized over time that you cannot throw your business marketing, you know, on the floor and just focus only on your clients. You've got to put your business marketing first and then you work on your client work. And to me, part of my business marketing is my Facebook group.
Okay.
So in the past few months, I have really prioritized it, and it went. I mean, it's completely like tripled in size. Like it was very small at the time, and now it's still pretty small, but it's over 1,000 now. Quickly about to be 1,100, maybe tomorrow, and just keeps growing from there. And it's mostly filled with ideal clients because I'm nurturing the group in a way in which the people who I would work with, which are coaches and service providers, they
Right.
want to join Thriving Female Entrepreneurs because what they care to tune into is what I'm talking about in the group.
Excellent. So, how are you finding the right people for your group? I think a lot of people, I see so many people trying to start groups, but they're not really catching on. So
I
that,
think, yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I think that I really do feel like most people can have successful groups, but I find that there are a few elements that make one group more successful than the other. And I do think you've got to choose a great niche. I mean, you've got to choose a good niche. I mean, business coaching, my group is a business coaching group. It's for people, business peeps, networking and finding leads. I see people booking with each other in my group. It's great because
Right.
everyone wants to make money, and it's how you get by, that's how you live, and it's helpful. And it's a nice pat on the back for your talents too. And so I think my group is definitely in the more popular niche. It's more privileged, as you could say. Whereas, I know of a brand strategist who she does have a group, and her group, it's nice, but it does grow slower, and it's more so based around her. So that comes to the second thing. Are you making this group about you, or are you making it a community? Is it just you shoving your offer down everyone's throat, or are you letting everyone talk? Is it inclusive? And I think that for me, yeah, I noticed that the people how am I getting people to join my group? Now Facebook exclusively suggests my group. I don't talk about my group. I don't share about my group. I don't even tell anyone I have a group, really. So I'm very lucky in that way that I have a question in my membership request section that says, how did you hear about us? And 99.99% says, Facebook suggested you. Facebook suggested you. Facebook suggested you. There's the occasional, my friend told me to join. But what that means is that like-minded people or similar profiles are joining my group, and so Facebook is showing it to other people like them, which I'm very grateful for, because I want my group. That's what has allowed my group to have my ideal clients in it. It's almost all coaches and service providers in there.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I didn't think about that. That's a great way to do it. And it's probably how you ended up in my feed, but I actually don't know.
Maybe Facebook suggested me to you. I also did a lot of
very possible. Very possible.
Yeah.
So, what is one really good lever that really brought your business from beginning to where you are now?
I would say, if you asked me this in the beginning of a business, I would have laughed at you and said, "Oh, it's just strategy." Or I'd rather not laugh at you, I would laugh at my answer today. Because my answer today to answer you is mindset. My 6 months ago, 12 months ago self would have said, you would never say mindset. What are you thinking about, Naowshaba? But yes, it is mindset, because I truly do feel that if we believe the power, I learned from a book I read called Dollars Flow to Me Easily by Richard Dotts, that the power to create anything in our lives lies within us. It's within our mind. And so if you think it, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Even though that sounds, I'm a very, I just need the results to happen. Not that I'm impatient, but I don't like BS, right? I don't like fluff, and my coaching is very strategic. And so I just kind of painted mindset work over with a paintbrush, which luckily I snapped out of it quick, and I didn't, take too long to make the realizations. But that was the things that would hold me back. And for me, that lever was, wow, you can really create any reality you want, but you have to believe that it's possible. Right. So if someone wouldn't hop on a sales call with me, even though they said they wanted to, I'd be like, okay, I don't care. There's 20 other people who want to chat with me this week who are ready to hop on anyway. So I really don't care. Or I hop on a call and the person's like, I don't, I'll have to think about it, which is basically a no, right? Everyone says that. I used to get very upset about that. I used to take all of it really personally, and I think that's common. I think anybody can relate to that. But that holds you back. You cannot take business personally. It's a business. It's really an experiment that you have to be patient with. You have to give it time to grow. You have to be detached from the outcome of the sales call. Absolutely. But that takes confidence, though, right? And so
and exactly knowing. That's one thing that I tell my group all of the time: be totally detached. Yeah. So mindset to me, like you, and I probably like all people that either start businesses or coaches. In the beginning, I used to get so attached to the people in my group and the people I was helping because I saw potential. Like I just saw success, saw potential. I wanted them. And when they wouldn't show up, that's when I used to get upset. And it was actually another member who said to me, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. And it was kind of my you're right. Whoever's supposed to be here will always be here. As you launch a new program, it's like whoever's supposed to show up will show up. Whoever's on the live will show up. And I said it about this summit. Whoever's supposed to see it will see it when they're supposed to see it. And that's one of the reasons we kept it evergreen, because someone might need it next month or the month after or next year, and I wanted it still to be available to that person who needed to see it in that moment that they're ready.
And
So,
that's what I've been realizing. That's
yeah,
another shift that I've been making now that you bring that up, that I have felt what's meant for me is meant for me. And
yeah,
it will happen when it's meant to happen,
yeah,
right? You know, I
beautiful.
haven't I haven't been in business for a year just yet, but the growth has been massive for me. And yet I'm still kind of like, oh, let's go faster. But I have to remind myself, hold on. Stop trying to run too far ahead, because it's okay. You know, you've accomplished enough and it's been good. Now go to the next challenge and the next, but there's no need to kind of beat yourself up over not being where someone is when they've been a coach for 10 years. You know, something like, everyone is at the different stage and you cannot compare yourself. So
Yep.
those have been some big things for me.
Yeah, and I've actually learned, actually from doing the summit a little bit, that people aren't always as they appear. They might look very large, but they're actually not, because there was a cutoff with the six-figure Soul Summit, and what I was looking for, there's an application process. And hundreds of people apply, but we only pick 10 every single time that we do it. And yay!
Happy dance.
You're a great story. You're doing something new on Facebook, which we hadn't had. You did it very quickly. So I try to make them different so people can see an inspiring story and go, yep, that's me. So one of the things I was just curious, because you said that I find is my method is more slow down, be in the moment, like get it right where you are, stay in your lane, work on one thing. Like don't go wide. I see so many entrepreneurs going wide, right? And I always say, like, just stay in your niche, right? Stay exactly where you are. And I know a lot of times until it clicks, until you get it, um, people waver all over the place, and I see in the soul centered arena where I am that they just get more, certifications, more modalities. I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. I'm, like kind of all over the place. And um, I think it, well, what I say, going wide is not the way to go. But you had mentioned almost slowing down. So I always say, like, when people are looking for me for coaching, I'm more mindset than I am. I'll give you strategy, but I'm much different than you are, which is so funny because there's so many different business coaches out there, right? That I changed from business coach to mindset, because for me, it's really about believing in yourself, honoring who you are, being authentic, and knowing that that feels right, and listening to that before you keep going. So I always like the slower momentum. And you had just said, instead of like jumping, when I see a lot of coaches say, have a, 10K month, consistently do this.
Right.
And
30
I think
days,
it's selling.
sorry, 30 days to 10K or something.
Yeah, it's, there could be one or two people that probably do it. But the process can't work for everyone exactly the same way. And it's a tough road. And I think when you're more authentic when you do it slow and say, does this feel right? Does that feel right?
I think it's about trusting the process too, right? I mean, I think that people are like,
Perfect.
oh,
Yeah.
it's not working, so I must try something else, which is when they start to get wide, like you explained.
Yeah.
But you've got to trust the process. Make sure you've done your research and that you're trying a strategy that's actually, going to be, good. Don't just do something random, but, choose one thing, do it, trust the process of it, allow it the traction to grow,
Yeah.
right? See if it actually works. Put out one offer before you put out 10. You can do the one-on-one coaching, not the group coaching, one-on-one coaching, the summit, the membership, the master class, the
Yeah.
subscription service. It doesn't need to be that
Too
way.
big.
And that's so confusing too, for your prospect. If you care about making money, that's going to be repelling money, right? You just got to trust the process. And that's kind of something that I have realized that I think made a big difference for me. Like, you're right, slow down. Just, there's no rush to six figures, there's no rush to seven figures, there's no rush. When you are meant to get to those, whatever stage it is you are meant to get to, that's when you're meant to get to it. But I think, with the niching down, as you mentioned, I think that when you tell your clients, let's put out one offer, let's speak to one audience, something, I actually say very similar things, which is so funny. But the reason I do that is because I really want them to realize that there's no rush to
Yeah.
make them, there's no rush. And I think people think they're limiting themselves when they're like, I can't have one offer, I have to have at least three. But you're not limiting yourself, actually. You're getting more specific, and your dream clients are probably going to find you easier.
I agree. I agree. It's narrowing it down, going slow, and to tweak it along the way. So like for me, so our group it's 5 years old now, right? This is in our fifth year, but it looks so different today than it did 5 years ago. Completely different. And going through the pandemic, it even got refined even more because I saw the hole in the market. And actually this summit came out of that hole, which if you're watching these episodes, you've probably heard this before, but it was so clear to me that people had trouble leveling up and serving others. When this happened, so many people wanted to go down, like not work. Like they felt bad about it. So I was like, okay, let's start highlighting people that did it. Very nice. So, do you consider yourself soul-centered?
I think I've become more of that over time.
Okay.
More of that over time, but if you asked me in the beginning of my business, I might have been like, huh, what?
Yeah.
That sounds too spiritual and hippie for me. But now I realize, like, my clients know me, and anyone who follows me online knows that I'm very no nonsense strategy kind of a coach.
Okay.
But I've realized over time that you can't have the strategy unless you have the
Faith.
connection, right, to
Yeah.
yourself, which
Yeah.
is the soul-centeredness that you're referring to. I think, I
Yeah.
have to have that strong mindset, which comes from only you. Only you can change that. A coach can give you all the strategy in the world,
Right.
but the ones who do it best, the ones who soar in a program as opposed to the ones who kind of limp along in the program, same program,
Exactly.
but the ones who do so well is the ones who believe in themselves and are connected with themselves and realize, what, I can slow down, just like you said, slowing down, and whatever is meant to happen is going to happen. Everyone is in a rush to, I think, put out a million offers and make as much money as possible, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think but it does take a great deal of believing in yourself that what I'm doing is okay, and I'm going to get to the point that I'm meant to get to when the time is right.
Excellent. I love that. Yeah. I totally agree. And tweaking things along the way and making it perfect and
That's I don't mean to interrupt you, but you just actually sparked my memory, because I knew that you had said something about tweaking these along the way, and I really want people to know this. When they think that they're limiting themselves, and anyone listening who thinks I have to have three offers, because they're in this what I call perfection paralysis. They won't put out and deliver something until it's perfect. But the reality is, you'll never know what's perfect. There isn't any such thing, but you'll never know what's an amazing offer unless you put out your initial offer, do some coaching, do whatever it is you do.
yep.
You're inevitably going to tweak, like you did with your group. You realize things change, things get better. You can't know that. You
Yeah.
cannot know what will work and what will not work until you
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah. And
Um,
you get better as a person.
yes,
You find out what you like and don't like. I went backwards. I did groups first because I have my community, which I love my community. And then after 5 years of people asking me if I do things individually, I literally just started less than a year ago
yeah,
taking people individually. And I ended up liking it because I can go dive deeper. So now I'm looking at things like, okay, I added 2 more levels of membership that, get to talk to me or get more access to me. But I wouldn't have known if that, didn't come forward. But what I wanted to say about soul-centered, I think being soul-centered is more about believing in abundance, believing that there's not really competition, because when you believe in you, no one can be you. You are your greatest asset, right? And co-creating and giving back to others. And I think like in your Facebook group, you give and give and give and give. And you are fabulous at just giving so much to your group and the people that are watching you. And I think that's a big part of being authentic, because you're not worried about it. It's not competition to you.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
And again, that comes back to the confidence thing. When you believe that what you're meant to accomplish will happen in time, when you realize that there's more clients out there than non-clients,
Yeah.
there's going to be plenty of people who are not a fit for you, but instead of taking it personally that, oh, they said no to me on the call and they don't want to be my client, think of, well, they weren't really the right fit for you, maybe. And if they really are, they'll come back around.
It's
It's kind of
back.
like relationships. Sort of
Yep.
like romantic relationships. they're meant to come back around, they'll come back around. It's the same thing with clients. So you don't need to be that attached to it. You just have to, yeah, you live in that abundance, that belief, and the more you practice it, like any other muscle, it's just going to get stronger. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't go to the gym and expect that you'll be lifting the 250-pound weight. You wouldn't be able to do that. But you start slow, you start slow, you start slow, and you keep going. And eventually, on the 100th day, you're able to lift that up, and it's no issue. So again, there's no rush. I mean, you don't have to have a perfect mindset. I certainly don't, and I don't think you can say you do. And that we were just talking about your 7-figure entrepreneurs. Every stage has
yeah, new level, new devil. And I
There you
find
go.
that everyone struggles to get to that 6-figure because it's just like something in their head, like that 6-figure. But once you break that 6-figure, then the next hollow I see, like the next problem is around 350. And then after 350, it's hitting 7. And it's the exact same mindset battle, exactly the same. Like,
No one's gonna buy
like
my offer, and
it's
then
just
yeah,
it's just
and
at a
then you sell
different
out your
level.
offer.
Yeah, just at a different level. Yeah. Thank you so much for being a part of this summit.
Thank you again for having me. I really enjoyed it.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.